My only concern, and you're probably tired of me saying this weekend or game in and game out, but my only concern coming out of tonight for Iowa, I'm not too concerned about the slow start offensively. Defensively, I think again, once we see steeper competition, we'll get an idea of where they're at defensively. But my only concern was you get Josh Ogundele back from illness tonight, but he doesn't come in until the 4-minute mark in the second half. Mulvey doesn't come in until the 3-minute mark in the second half. And next week, you're going to be going up against, I think, that your first two Big Ten teams that you play are probably the two best big men teams in the Big Ten with Zach Edey, Trevion Williams, Kofi Coburn. So I still go back to that. I think there's going to be times where they need Josh or Riley to play big minutes, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes in a game. And I'm just concerned that perhaps those guys aren't ready. Do you care to offer any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just a guess, but I don't think they're ready. I think they're a ways off. I think what you'll see is the Murray kid, Chris, play more.
Okay.
Or you'll see zone. I think you could see some zone to keep people out of foul trouble and take away the trying to match up people man to man. That would be my guess, and it's pure guess. But as little as they played and as good as Chris Murray is playing, my guess is that they'll play him, and I would say those other two are down the line a little bit, and I would be surprised if they play significant minutes.
We do have a caller here for you, Gary. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Doug from Ames, Iowa.
Hey, Doug. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I had a couple questions about big men. One, back in the 90s when I started following Iowa basketball, you guys were always dominant on rebound margin. And what did you and Dr. Tom do to become dominant in rebounding? And then second, Riley Mulvey kind of reminds me of like a young Les Jepson. And you guys have played him for 2 years, Les Jepson. How do you see the development of Riley Mulvey, and how do you keep a player positive that doesn't play? And I know that Corey's been talking about the development of our big men, and I just was kind of curious because you guys developed a couple big men.
Yeah. Those are two really good questions. I think from a rebounding standpoint, like a lot of things, it's kind of what you emphasize. That's what you get really good at. And rebounding was really important. I know when Coach Davis went over statistics, that's maybe the first statistic he hit on was, who's our leading rebounder, and where can you improve? And so whether it's drill work or stat emphasis or obviously good shot selection, solid defense are going to help your rebounding as well. But being aggressive, going on the glass, rebounding is defensively, the defense isn't over until the rebound is secured. There's nothing more troubling than to play pretty good possession of defense and then not get the rebound. So, and then as far as the second question goes, big guys just develop at all different kinds of rates. I mean, you talked about Les. He hardly played at all his first 2 years, and by the time he was a senior, he was an NBA draft pick. And you just got to be patient. You got to continue to work with him individually and give him as many possessions as you can get, whether it's on the scout team or with a top group, and just stay patient and hope they're hard workers and they'll continue to improve. So, and a lot of times they can take a big jump, like Les did. Frank Kaminsky at Wisconsin hardly played his first couple years, and by the time he was a senior, he's one of the best players in the country. So, got to be patient. You got to continue to work with him. He's got good size. He's got good hands. He's just got to develop.
Absolutely, and those are excellent examples to compare. You mentioned size, and Riley is a kid who, at least at the high school level, was a defensive-minded kid, so he's still developing his offensive game. I would hope that at some point, Gary, maybe this isn't reasonable, and I know you offered your take that it doesn't look like those guys are ready for this stage yet. I hope that at some point this season, one of those guys can emerge to where you can at least get them spot minutes. Is that too much to ask for?
Yeah, it's a long year, and you watch people in practice, and they show some signs, and then you kind of go with it. But and then on the other hand, sometimes the benches get even shorter when you get into the Big Ten because the competition is so difficult. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think my guess is right now, I think you'll see more minutes for Chris Murray as an alternative to those other two guys. That would be my guess, and I could be dead wrong.
Well, you're right. As far as how Chris is playing right now, 13 points tonight, 6 boards, 2 of 2 from 3. He's shooting the 3 ball really well, Gary, and he's not a shot happy kid, but he makes them when he shoots them. And we had somebody earlier call in and ask, do we see Chris Murray and Keegan playing at the same time? And I think that the answer to that question is yes, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think you will.
Their upside is too great not to have them on the court at the same time. And
then if you play them with Patrick, you're playing 3 guys that are 6'9" and long and pretty athletic. So
right,
maybe not as physical. So that's the problem with the big bodies. But that's where you might see some zone as well. They could have some real length in their zone if they're playing those 3 guys. So that would kind of be my guess. But we're going to have to wait and see next week.